Hey Hero fans, this is Todd. So we're going to take this King Grayskull, which is already a custom I made, and mix it with this 40th anniversary He-Man. The first thing I want to do is take off this He-Man's head and basically make sure that King Grayskull's skin color, skin tone, matches this head when I put King Grayskull's head on there. Now my original King Grayskull you see standing here is also a custom made from the Savage He-Man that came with the Orko 2-pack. So let's get that head off. Now let's talk about this King Grayskull for a second. So first of all, his cape, I want to pull that off. I don't want to ruin the flocking on the shoulders. This axe is from the 2000X He-Man, and this sword is actually from the Snake Armor He-Man from Classics. Now the wrist cuffs that are on him right now are actually from Fisto, and it took 2 Fistos to do this because Fisto only came with 1 cuff on his one left arm to begin with. Let's go ahead and silk his head, and let's pop that head on there. The skin tone does match pretty well, so I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go ahead and go with the build. So time to pull off the parts off the other one and transfer them onto this one. So let's get the armor on there, and it's going to take a little bit of stretching. I heat it up in warm water to make it stretch and just kind of fit it over that larger body. Now it doesn't close all the way in back, but that's okay because even though we can't get the strap on all the way on back, as long as we stretch it good enough, the cape itself will hold the armor together. So like I said, it just takes a little bit of stretching. I heated this up in water so it'd be easier to stretch. So there we go. That's how it's going to look. Pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get the legs off so we can get off the loincloth. Now because my cup's not very full, I first got to heat it up and take off the feet, or not the feet, but the boots. And then once I pull the boots off, I can re-soak it and then pull off the upper thighs as well. So let's go ahead and throw them back in the water and heat that right up. Now instead of pulling it apart there like I tried doing, I can actually pull it off up at the top on the ball joint, which I should have thought of first, but that works way better. Put that back together. And now let's get the loincloth off as well. This loincloth is 2 parts. So it's the belt and it is the loincloth. Let's go ahead and first get the legs off the other figure. You know what? It's time for dinner. I'm going to go ahead to dinner, and when I come back, we will finish this figure. Alright, dinner time. So let's go ahead, and I already pulled off his legs, already pulled off his loincloth, so it's ready to go. There's the loincloth right there. So we're going to use that loincloth on this figure. So now let's get this loincloth off of this 40th anniversary figure. I got some new fresh hot water ready to go. And let's dunk him in there and use a screwdriver and carefully pull this off. Now you can see my iPad in the background there, and you can see how much lag there is between the live video stream I was doing at the time and this remake one. So let's go ahead and use a screwdriver now. I cut out all the parts of me going back to the hot water over and over again. As you do this, you want to keep reheating it. You don't want it to get cooled off on you, otherwise it's not going to work. I'm going to try pulling from the back this time instead of from the front. Usually I pull from the front. Then I found by doing that, sometimes it causes the belt to rip. So I figured I want to do it from the back instead. Now many people have asked me, why don't I just cut the loincloth to get it off in the belt? I don't like to cut them because in case you decide to put it on a figure, it's a different size. Now if you cut it, it's going to be really hard for the glue to hold it in place the whole entire time. So you just kind of work this around, kind of unfold it, and again, keep putting it in hot water as you need to. Every time there's a small scene change, that's me actually putting it back in the hot water and bringing it back out to continue. So as you can see, it takes a lot of work to get this off. I probably should have already dunked it again, but I will right here shortly and then continue working it. Now the trick is to keep your water at about 205 degrees. That's the temperature it works best when you're doing this. So there I am trying to get this off. Oh, come on. It keeps slipping back up onto the figure. So it was quite the pain trying to get this off. His hips are wider than his waist, which is not usually the case with most of these Masters of the Universe figures. So here we go. After I redunked it one more time, it now seems to be wanting to come off eventually. Yep, there it goes. Huh. Come on off. One more dunk of the hot water, and here we go. This is finally me taking it off for the final time. Whew. And you can see I did cause a small slight rip on one side. So that will have to be either fixed or hopefully it's hidden when I put it back on. Alright, now for the other half of the loincloth. Let's dunk them back in hot water and take this off. And again, same procedure as the first one. And of course I dunk them in hot water throughout this procedure, but I don't show all the scenes of me doing it. And again, just get the screwdriver in there. Pull it out. Find the spot to grip onto it. I want to go from the back again. And it's crazy because it's such thin rubber, these cool down really quickly. So it takes a lot of dunks in the hot water as you're doing this. Come on, you can get off there. So let's see how long it takes me to get this off here, how many dunks. Alright, so now I'm going to go dunk it right now, but you won't want to see it because it's cut footage. There we go. I actually put it in water and pulled it back out just now. Sometimes it's so difficult to get it off. And there it is. Only 2 dunks, and you can see his hips are a lot wider. Now I get this loincloth on. Now this was a pain, and I first need to sand it down with my Dremel tool to fit the hole so it's the right size. So let's first sand this around town. Now in retrospect, I probably sanded too much off the front. It made the loincloth sit in too far of his abdomen. So if you ever do this, don't sand off quite as much as I did in the front to make this work. So there we go. Sanding it around town. And after it's all sanded, we then have to heat it up and actually put it back onto the other figure, which is pretty tough to do. So let's clean off all this extra plastic on there. And you can see there the hole is about the right size. Obviously the sides are a lot wider because the other ones go on the wide sides. Let's dunk it in there and slide it back onto He-Man. Now this is a pain to get back on there. You got to get it over the little ball joints and then over his large rump and hips. And the trick is to have the water really hot. I believe it's running about 215 degrees as I'm doing this. It says there 220 on the bottom. I can see it from here on the screen. But I think the top's closer to 215, but we'll see. I guess we won't see. But when it's hot like this, it makes it way easier to stretch it around. But because it's a harder plastic and less rubbery, you do have to keep reheating it over and over again in order to make this work. So notice how I keep dunking it in there for a few seconds to heat it up and then pulling it back away. Alright, now the trick is to work those seams up and over the hips and then eventually into the spot where the belt tucks in to the waist. It is not an easy task. Now if I would have cut the loincloth on this one, there's no way I would have got it back together. The force of the hips spreading it apart would have kept breaking that glue over and over again, and I would have been fighting it even more than this if I would have cut it first. Alright, you can see the screwdriver kind of working around, and so I didn't have the camera aimed on this better. I was so focused about trying to get this together that I wasn't really paying attention to where my camera was aimed. There we go. Well, that is looking pretty good. Let's heat it up one more time just to make sure it's all seated in there well. Checking all the little flaps around the edges to make sure there's none tucked underneath. Sometimes you're putting a loincloth on, the corners will get tucked in and it will cause problems. Let's go ahead and heat those legs up now and stick them in. And again, you got to heat those legs up completely so they'll go over the the ball socket inside the crotch area. This figure's coming together nicely. It actually fit together better than I thought it would. I thought for sure I'd be stuck on that loincloth. In fact, if you watch the real live video, I fought that loincloth for a long time because my water wasn't hot enough. Alright, now time for the boots. That's looking pretty good. Now I could use a brown wash around the part underneath, but once you have his cape on, you can't even see that part of the brown at all, and the loincloth's so large it really covers most of it. Alright, there's the boots. Now these are not the boots that the He-Man figure came with originally. These are actually the same boots we got with the first released Revelation He-Man. They seem to work pretty good because they're a darker brown. And there he is. Pretty cool. Pretty happy with how he's looking. Got to squeeze these together in order to fit that cape on. Not bad. Not bad at all so far. Alright, let's get that cape on him now that he's dried out a little bit. Make sure the points on the back are lined up with the cape. And again, I apologize for the camera being not aimed on it. Sorry, you guys. Being this was kind of my second time putting them together from the live video, I probably should have grabbed the other footage when I first put the cape on. Now the trick is to line those up because it's so movable, and being I don't have that post going across the middle, trying to line them up is kind of tough. But looks like I got him. Then to put his 2000X shield in from the 2000X toy, the sword from the Snake Armor He-Man, and then I have his battle axe as well from the 2000X He-Man. Yeah, now I raised the camera. Kind of late there, Todd. So, pretty cool. There he is. All right. So here is the completed King Grayskull. And the reason why I spent all this time doing this to King Grayskull and actually making him in this new figure is to make him taller than He-Man. So you can see now, because in the cartoon he was quite a bit taller than everybody else. But then again, He-Man's tall too. And you can see, oh, if He-Man would stand, He-Man, stand. There you go. He's quite a bit taller. And you can see here's the original King Grayskull next to his beautiful wife. And they're about the same height, which seems kind of weird because she was so much smaller than him in the cartoon. But now let's go ahead and take a look at this King Grayskull next to his wife. Now, I'll take this out of her hand. It's just in the way. It's in the way. Alright, and you can see now he actually has some height on her, which makes a whole lot more sense. And so there you go. Actually, you know what? I actually like the skin tone better on this King Grayskull than on this one. So it actually came out pretty nice. So there we go. There is the difference in the King Grayskulls. You can see him. Dun, da, da. Oh, good thing he didn't break on the way down. And again, the height difference between them. Stand, man. So, probably almost an inch taller. Let me get something flat to put across there. So I'll use this box here. Chunk. Maybe a half-inch taller. Either way, though, he's taller. That's the main thing. If you take a look at the shoulders here, you can really see the height difference. You know what? I probably should have used a black O-ring in his head just to lift it up a little bit. Let's do that now and see how that works. It might not be deep enough now to sit on there. Yeah, actually that does look better. That gave him a little extra boost for height, not much. Stand up straight, man. Okay. Yep. Anyway, I think it looks really cool. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm glad to have a bigger figure now instead of just a regular He-Man size buck figure. I know it's not monstrously bigger, but it's bigger enough for me to make a difference. Anyway, thanks for watching, and good journey.
If you found enjoyment, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Do it!